It's Darcey here, and I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to answer my questions. Question 1. Did you always want to be an author?
Have I always wanted to be an author? Funnily enough, no. And I know that makes me probably sound a bit strange compared to other writers, because I feel that most authors knew from a very young age that that was something that they wanted to do. But for me, I was a really passionate reader. So I read everything I could get my hands on when I was a child, and the books that I loved best, I almost lived inside them. They were so magical, and they were able to transport me to a completely different place, and they were so special to me. It never really occurred to me to think that somebody, like just a regular person, wrote them. It just seemed so magical. I thought that I guess I just assumed that they just appeared fully formed, because it just seemed like such a special thing, like my favourite books. So no, I didn't.
What books did you read when you were 8?
What books did I enjoy when I was 8? So I read a lot, and I really enjoyed, there's a lot of the classics actually I liked. Joan Aiken's The Wolves of Willoughby Chase, that was a really important book for me. I read that so many times, and I just loved the atmosphere, the wintry setting, the sort of the wolves that were always sort of lurking around the edges of the book, and of course the wonderful story. And if you haven't read that already, I definitely recommend you check it out. It's The Wolves of Willoughby Chase by Joan Aiken. I also really enjoyed A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Now, you might know her from The Secret Garden. That's probably her most famous work, because that's been turned into a film. But A Little Princess is a really special story too, and again, it's very atmospheric. That one's set in London, and it follows the story of an orphan called Sarah Crewe, and it's just so atmospheric, and you can almost feel the smog and the grimy streets and the little view from her little attic bedroom as she looks out over the rooftops. And again, it's just the atmosphere from that stayed with me for a long time. But, you know, I didn't just read classic children's literature. I also, I really enjoyed Enid Blyton. I liked Dick King-Smith. I think he was quite big when I was growing up. He wrote a lot of animal stories like The Hodgehog, and he wrote The Sheep Pig and The Queen's Nose. Lots and lots of books, and they were mostly about animals, and I really liked animals, so that made me very happy.
What inspired you to write this book?
So, what inspired me to write this book? I guess the idea for The Spirit-Snatcher actually came from a real place. So I used to work every day in a very old library. I would write there in the middle of London, and just around the corner from it was a very old and very spooky alleyway that was a bit like Elbow Alley. And I would walk up and down it every day, and I would look around me, and the idea for this story slowly crept into my mind, especially because nobody else seemed to find it as strange as I did. So I sort of wondered, like, why were all these people rushing up and down such a strange place, not looking to the left or the right of them, and not stopping to look in any of the shops or, you know, appreciate that they were in such a peculiar place. And I thought maybe they'd had their spirits snatched by something, and that's where the idea for the Spirit Snatcher came about.
If you could be a werewolf or a vampire, what would you be and why?
Gosh, that is quite the question. I think probably a vampire, because a werewolf only transform once a month, don't they, when it's the full moon, and I would quite like to have my magical powers all year round. I think being able to fly would be quite fun. I would probably not enjoy drinking people's blood though, so that could be a slight issue. But apart from that, I think I wouldn't mind being immortal. I wouldn't mind being able to fly, and being able to turn to a bat might be quite cool too. So Yeah, probably a vampire. Well, thank you so much for asking me these questions, and I really hope you'll check out my book, The Spirit-Snatcher.
Thank you very much for answering my questions on Spirit-Snatcher. Darcey out!